After the successful installation of JDK, Android Studio and Android SDK tools, now we are in a position to develop, even start to develop Android mobile apps. So with this concept, now you have to start the Android Studio. Install the Android Studio on your laptop or computer by clicking the start button. You just go start button and press Android Studio. So now you will get a flash screen which indicates that the Android Studio is going to be open. So after the flashing, the Android Studio will give a welcome screen to us. So on the welcome screen, you can see the emblem of Android Studio and the Studio editor name Android Studio with the version 4.0.1. So like that, it will vary on the versions, even upcoming versions. So below the editor name, there you will see some number of options, the number of works processes to be carried out, and the types of projects to be developed with the help of Android Studio. So there you can see you can start a new Android Studio project, and you may work on an existing Android Studio project, or even get the version control, or even you debug the APK, import the project Gradle and Eclipse JDKs, the runtime tools used for automating building the APK files, and at last you may find import a sample Android coding. So these are all the options shown by the Android Studio editor on the first launching on the welcome screen. So here you have to start from by clicking start a new Android Studio project. So now we'll get a closer look of the options provided by the Android Studio on welcome screen. You see the first one is start a new Android Studio project, open an existing Android Studio project, get some version control, profile or debug APK, import project, Gradle, Eclipse JDK, etc. Import an Android code sample. So beneath that option, there you can see two words: configure and get. So here the configure option is used for configuring the settings of this Android Studio editor. So we'll see one by one. Now we are in a stage to develop a new Android Studio project. So we have to click the first option, start new Android Studio project. So to do new Android Studio project, first we have to press start new Android Studio project. Now the Android Studio editor gives a project template window to us. So there you can see there are number of tabs: phone and tablet, Wear OS, TV, automotive, Android things. So from these tabs, we can easily identify there are a number of devices today which runs on Android. So now we are concentrating on mobile phones. So now we have to go back to the tab where phone and the tablets. So under the phone and tablet, there you may see number of project templates. So all the templates are providing structures, built-in design for developing Android activities. So in our theory session, I said there are 5 types of programming apps to be developed within Android mobile app development, even with the help of Android Studio. I listed out activities, services, broadcast receivers, instant receivers, and content providers. So these are all the types of apps to be developed within Android mobile app development process, I said. So among these 5, activities and services are the full apps. The remaining 3, broadcast receivers, instant receivers, and content providers, these 3 are going to be act as a part of either activity or service. So what an activity is? What an activity is? Activity is a type of app to be developed within Android, having both design and the process coding. So as an activity which is having both design and process coding, I said. And what a service, I said. Service is a type of app to be developed by using Android which is not having any design. Particularly, the service is running on background, I said. So now here the Android Studio project template window will list out all the types of designs, predefined designs related to the activities. So under the phone and tablet, the Android Studio editor gives a template for developing activities. So here you have to select empty activity and press next. So in the next step, the Android Studio asks the name of the app that is going to be developed. So under the name, you have to give the application name, mobile app name that you are going to develop. So here also there are a number of things to be discussed. We'll see one by one. After selecting empty activity from the create new project wizard of Android Studio, next we will get a screen like this. A screen with a title, configure your project. Configure your project is the finishing stage of, last stage of creating new Android mobile app wizard by using Android Studio. So here this stage is asking several inputs from the users. Most of the inputs are asking direct values, and some inputs are listing out options through which the developers have to select the correct value. So under these inputs, the first one is the name. The name input is asking a name for the app to be developed by using Android Studio. For example, here I am giving simple app as the name. So while giving name under the name input, you may notice there are changes under the package name input and the save location input. The package name input generates the same words with small letters, and the save location input appends the same word at the last, at the end of the part that appeared on the entire input box. Okay, so here the name input is getting the name of the app to be developed by using Android Studio Editor. Even the given name under this configure your project stage is going to be act as the app name on the mobile in which the app is installed after the full development. Okay, so on a mobile, you may note down there are apps with the names and the launcher icons. Every app is having a launcher icon and a name under that launcher icon. So here, suppose I have given what I have given here, you see, simple app, and that simple app is to be developed and even it is finished, and that finished product is installed on a mobile. So under that mobile, installed mobile, the app is appearing with the name simple app. So next thing we have to enter is the package name input. It is somewhat similar to the Java packaging process. So we'll discuss a little bit concept about the Java packaging. So under Java, while doing Java packaging process, first the Java programmer has to create sequence of directories from the, it clearly says on the command prompt. Thereafter, the Java programmer has to place all the needed class file under the separate folders. Then within Java environment, the Java programmer has to use the dot convention in order to access in order to access all the classes within the packages. In the OS environment, package names. So here also the same convention is followed here. Here the package name is having such a collection from dot convention dot collection from dot example dot the created name of the app. So when this one is set, when the values of package name is set, the Android Studio will automatically create sequence of folders with the COM as the root folder, and within that it creates example as the subfolder. Then within example it creates the simple app as the last subfolder. Finally, the Android Studio puts each and every file, related files of this project under the simple app folder. Okay. So under the simple app folder, the Android Studio places all the designing files, XML files, Java files, and the relevant assets needed for this project. And it refers that files from within the directory, and it will notify that of the creation of the project under the project Explorer window, project manager window. Okay. Even on a mobile, suppose this app is developed and it is installed on a mobile, under a small mobile, Android mobile, there we can see a folder data. So under the data, first of all, when an app is installed, then the needed directories are created by using the same convention. So when the developed app is installed on a mobile, during the installation process creates COM folder, example folder, and the name of the app that was given here as the last level folder under the mobile. Then it places all the relevant files within that folder, lastly created folder, last level folder. Okay, so it's the concept about package name. So you won't disturb that. Okay, next thing, the next input is what is that? Save location. Here the save location input saves all the related files of the current Android Studio project under the specified directory on a laptop or computer. So you won't disturb that also, you just leave that. So all the related files of current Android project, currently created Android project is stored under that part, save location part. So you don't disturb that also. The next input under the save location is language to be selected. The earliest versions of Android Studio only supported Java language, but the current edition of Android Studio also supports a new language called Kotlin. Kotlin is like a JavaScript language and presently used for developing robustable Android mobile app. So Kotlin is also used as a language used for developing Android mobile app, but for the time being we are concentrating on Java. So here you have to select Java language. The next input under the language input, the next input is minimum SDK, which states the minimum requirement on a mobile. Okay, which states the minimum requirements on a mobile in order to run this developed app. So when the app is finished out, when this app is completed, developed, and it is going to be run on a machine, what about the minimum requirement for running this app? That one is indicated by this minimum SDK app. So during the development also, the developers have to consider the target, the requirement to be needed on a target mobile device. Today, most of the devices are running with Android version starting from 4.1 to maximum. Here you may click that one. Here you may find out. So what are all the minimum version and the maximum versions available so far. So on this machine, the Android Studio installed the APK version starting from 14 to 30. So these Android versions are installed during the installation of Android SDK process that we mentioned in the previous video. So by default, the Android Studio fixes the minimum requirement for running this app to be developed is on a mobile is Android 4.1 Jelly Bean with the API version 16. So here also at maximum you won't change this. Suppose a app is developed with a minimum required SDK version that could be accepted by all the mobiles. It starts from the minimum to maximum. So what the meaning is, suppose your mobile is having 4.1 as the Android, it supports the app, developed app. Like that, a mobile is having a maximum version, for example, Android 10 Plus, or it's having the latest one, Android 11. That mobile is also supporting the developed app with a minimum requirement SDK. What is that? Android 4.1. Even you may specifically select the SDK or as per your need. Suppose you would like to develop a mobile app which could only runs on mobiles which starts from Android 5. Here you have to select Android 5 as the minimum SDK. So now the developed app is only running on mobiles which are having Android 5 as the minimum and the latest as the maximum, and the mobiles which are having Android version 4.x are not supporting this app developed with a minimum SDK requirement of 5. Okay, so by default, the Android Studio editor fixes the minimum required SDK is what is that? Android 4.1 Jelly Bean version. Here also you won't disturb this as maximum. You just leave it and press the finish button, which finishes the Android Studio creation process, and it begins to launch the Android Studio IDE environment. So now you see the Android Studio editor launches the screening of newly created Android Studio project, Android mobile app project, simple app, by initially showing the Java file going to be used for doing the process, and the XML file going to be used for designing, going to be used for maintaining the design. Okay, so this one is the initial settings and configuration of Android mobile app development. You have to follow these steps in order to for the development. So now the screen is open. You just quit from this Android Studio. Okay, so now the Android Studio is closed out. So when you are launching the Android Studio again from your computer or laptop, see, when you are launching the Android Studio again from your computer or laptop, now the Android Studio will load the last saved project on your screen without showing the Android Studio project visual. So now the Android Studio directly opens the last saved project on this laptop. That means a simple app. So now you see the Studio is now being loaded, and without showing the startup screen, now the Android Studio loads the last saved project. Simple. See, loads all the components that are created during the simple app project creation process. Okay. And it loads all the components of the IDE integrated development environment editor, IDE editor. Okay. Just close the tips. See there. So from this stage onwards, we have to start the development. Before going to start the development, initially we have to arrange, even we have to create a virtual device, Android virtual device, emulator device in order to run the developed app through this laptop itself. Okay, in order to simplify, in order to view the output of the developed app on the laptop itself, next we have to create an Android virtual device, AVD, that means emulator. So how to create the AVD for checking outputs on the same laptop, and how to start the development with the visual components like views and the layouts, different layouts that are available on Android. We'll see that in the next video. Thank you, Anand.